Hello lovely people, my name's Andy Woolley and in this video we're going to do a roundup of my affiliate sites for March 2022. So hopping over on the computer, you can see the presentation I've put together. I have two affiliate sites that I tend to report on, one in the gardening niche, one in the health niche. So looking at this one now on the gardening, we've come to 12 months that it's been ranking. Looking on the previous month, obviously my traffic has, well, tripled. So in fairness, that's very heartening. But it tells me that I'm at the beginning of the season. And this is the thing, is that as you evolve with any sort of niche with a website, you suddenly realize that you need to change your plans as you go forward. And that's kind of half the problem I encountered as I came into the beginning of March, is that the speed of my website was quite slow. Now, the reason for that is when I first built out the website, I was used to Astra and Elementor, which I've used for dozens of other websites. But for an ad network website where is obviously going on Ezoic, that presented a problem. So I needed to tackle that. I could have done it later on, but I honestly thought that would impede me through the season. So I thought, let's do it early as we see the numbers start to grow. Let's do it now before I lose the full effect of what will happen through the season. So I spent the best part of each weekend through March rechanging the website, stripping out Astra and Elementor, and I changed it to Cadence. So after some research, I needed to find a theme that would handle templates quite comfortably, not look massively different from what the website was already, but also accommodate the many ways that I've put dynamic data in there. And needless to say, Cadence was the tool to do the job. So you can see the tasks are quite long here. I obviously only managed to do 4 posts because my priority was let's get the user experience, let's get the website as fast as possible, because that is a key ranking factor these days. So I only managed to do a blog a week just to keep some sort of consistency moving forward. Normally I would have done at least 3 times the amount of that. As I rebuilt the location pages, I had a massive decline in keywords because when I built them from the template, and those of you who are familiar with Elementor will realize that when you build it globally and then you reference it locally on the page, those local pages stand independent. But this is half the problem with the likes of page builders, is they carry the code and they carry all the content on that local page. Whereas with Cadence, it allowed me to build the template and then reference it through advanced custom fields as a dynamic template. And therefore, it's much, much lighter and faster. Now, I know a few of you will be saying, yeah, but you lost, and you'll see in a minute, you'll see how many words I lost off the site, over 100,000, but they aren't ranking keywords. They were simply a duplication of location pages with changes within the location, nothing else. So thankfully, long story short, that's actually saved me a lot more space on my hosting because I was using up more space to create these location pages for lead generation. Now, because it references back to a dynamic template, ultimately it actually makes my process that much easier and quicker to develop. So the takeaway from this is don't be afraid to change your theme or your user experience within the content of how you structure your website, because sometimes you'll learn a lot more from it, but also more importantly, as you're building out, you might find better ways to do things. In my case, better and faster. So that's obviously one area, but I'll take a note of how those pages will rank through the GMB, because currently I own quite a few pins in the location, and I'll see how that will shift over the next coming months. I'm optimistic it won't do anything different, but I'll keep an eye all the same. Obviously, then I made sure I improved my conversions and optimized for speed in there. I did indexation, redirect, and updated all my sitemaps. So I did my due diligence to make sure that what I had already ranked for, I didn't jeopardize that coming into the season where now I'm on page 1 for some very strong terms. I also started then out on a PPC campaign that's slowly gaining some speed. That'll take me a little while to master, to be honest, but that's purely for the lead generation. I also then added more tables onto my buyer's guides with the AAWP plugin, a great plugin. Takes a little bit of time, but I honestly think that when the user comes on and reads on those pages, they're going to get more value by looking at a table for quick comparison before they're reading all the content below, if they read any of the content below. And then the last thing I did is also I played with Amazon One Link, because I noticed that whilst this is a UK focused website, I was getting equally as much traffic from the US. So it seems stupid to leave those breadcrumbs on the table and not try and get as much return on my investment by obviously initiating Amazon.com. So I did that through Amazon One Link, and I've brought it all into one particular repository, as it were. So it'd be interesting to see how that will affect the money going forward. So looking at some of the other data then, Search Console, which gives me an idea of how the website's performing. Let me just knock myself off. You can see again the clicks tripled, which is fantastic. But more importantly, you can see the click-through rate went from 1.7 to 3.4, which is great. So that really shows me the tight correlation between the click and the impression. And obviously what I'm writing is meeting the intent of what the reader wants to find. So it does help massively as I keep building that content out, because if you're new to this channel, you may not realize that when it comes to building content, I use Jasper and I write all the content myself. I have a full-time job, or two jobs actually, that I am tied up between Monday and Friday. So all the work I do for my affiliate sites, I do in the evenings and one day on the weekend. All the content I write and research myself, and then I use Jasper to help me flourish that and make it more appealing on the page, as it were. So it's interesting to see all that is working. So there is, there's a debate out there about AI tools. Are they great and all that? And I think the simple conclusion is they're not a replacement for content writers. They're an aid. And if you use it from that sort of mindset, it's only going to benefit you. So looking at the money page now, where the real, obviously the real numbers are that we care for. March, obviously the domain authority went up from 17 to 19, which is fantastic. Obviously the posts only went up by 4, and I'd love to put way more content in at a quicker rate, but unfortunately the jobs I do I thoroughly enjoy, so I'm not going to burn those bridges just yet. There's plenty of times to do this. The word count, as you can see, the massive difference from 369,000 down to 193. So yes, we lost well over 100,000 words there, but that might be a blessing in disguise, because ultimately it could be a case of I'm saving more of my hosting space. I'm not losing any ranking power. And this will be interesting to see just how effective dynamic data is. So that's something I'm going to monitor over the next coming months. And I'll report to you if it makes all that much of a difference. And if it does, that is a bit of a game changer when it comes to building out big websites, but you want them to be on a tiny hosting package. Likewise, my keywords went up to 813. UK traffic rose a little bit as well, not massive, but a little bit, but we're just coming into the start of the season. And obviously the traffic value based on those keywords rose as well to £809. Looking at Amazon for the commissions, I earned £67.07. Now, that was mainly down to one hot weekend that we had within March, and that significantly increased the sales. The payout I had then obviously was £67.07. But when we look at Ezoic, and this is the interesting thing here, is whilst I had 2,670 visitors, the earnings was only $12.42. Not massive, but more interesting, the EPMV was only $4.65. Now that's strange, because what I noticed on the hot weekend, on the Saturday, the EPMV went up to $16.85. On the Sunday, it went up to over $25. So obviously there's a correlation here between how much traffic comes on the website, but more importantly, how it was influenced by the weather. So fingers crossed for Easter coming up. It's a hot period in April. I'm already seeing the upward trajectory on the visitors coming on the site, but seeing that translate to the bottom line will be an interesting offering by all accounts. So the cumulative value between obviously Amazon and Ezoic came to £76.54. So I'm very happy with that in moving in the right direction. Moving on to my second site, which is in the health niche. This one now is just coming into month 9, so it's very much in its infancy. Now, as a caveat that some people may or may not realize when it comes to the likes of this site, having done my research, there's probably about between 3,000 and 4,000 posts I could easily write on this this topic. It is very much in the category of your money, your life. So I know it's going to be hard to rank some of these things, and I'm noticing it's taking far longer to rank, even though there's over 200 posts on there at the moment. But having worked out between myself and a nutritionist who's given me some insight on the site, there is something in excess of 50 categories to write out to, each one of those being a silo worthy of their own content clustering. So there's a long-term game here to be played, but it's actually producing better money through the advertising. You'll see that in a minute on the figures. So jumping back on the numbers. So the tasks this month, I did 15,000 words, 18 posts in total. I also played a slightly different game in the sense of I decided that I was going to basically build out one area of the site and do all the content clustering to that, just to experiment and see if that made a big difference. Time will tell, but also it made it more interesting in the way that I was building out the site. Likewise, then I optimized all the posts and I repurposed them by making sure that things like the NAP on there, the name, address, phone number, and the website were referenced in each one of those. And I did a few other little, what I call tricks, adding some emojis in there and stuff like that in the title tags in order to basically save on the character, but make it slightly different from the title tag, the H1 tag. Just a little SEO trick there. But again, it's seeing how that plays out over the coming months when it comes to ranking. Looking at the numbers, no big shift here, but that's the infancy of the site. It went up from 9 clicks in February to 47 clicks in March. But interestingly, you can see the difference that happened with the conversions. The conversions went from 0.5% to 3.3%. And again, it's not easy to see the tight correlation there between the clicks and the impressions, but over time now, I'm pretty sure that will move in the right direction. It's early days. Let's hope a few more articles start ranking, bringing in the required traffic, and then they can see the correlation between the clicks and impressions. Moving on to the money page, obviously the last slide in this affiliate reference. March 2022, now the domain authority stayed exactly the same. As for the number of posts, they rose up to 211. Word count now is 2,077,000. And this whole website is purely blogs, nothing else. I've yet to do any sort of buyer's guides or listicles or anything like that, but that will come in time. And even when it comes to the likes of adding in monetary pages, I haven't started doing that yet because I feel that there isn't enough information on the site to give it any authority. However, because I played with the first affiliate site with Amazon One Link, I did decide that I wanted to link it up and see if there was the ability to earn some money. So Amazon, I earned $2.53. So I know the mechanics there, the system is in place ready for it to actually happen. So what I kind of need to do at the moment is just keep plodding and pushing that content. And I reckon there's probably the best part of this year to see any change in that before there's money actually on the table. Time will tell, but we'll soon see. Anyway, looking at Ezoic, which is probably the most promising area for the initial growth of that return on investment, the visitors went up from 1,161 to 1,523, so that was a sizable increase. But the revenue also increased to $22.47. What again is nice and interesting on this one, having more than one site gives you the ability to compare sites and see how they work against each other in different ways. The EPMV was $14.75. Now, I have seen that go as high as $20 as well. So it'd be interesting to see how that changes over time. The cumulative value, obviously, for March 2022 was $25. So nothing life-changing yet, but as you can see that everything is moving in the right direction. Month on month, it's increasing. And where this one obviously differs from my other website is this one was all year round. It's not seasonally affected. So that's it for my March 2022. Hopefully you enjoy the style of me trying to be as open and honest without giving you the domain names on both of these, giving you some insight. If you have any questions about how do I do this and build that and why do I do it in a certain way, please leave a comment below and I will come back to you. Likewise, if you do like the video, please give it a likes up click that subscription button and the notification, so as soon as I bring out a video you will be informed. I do promise to do a lot more videos this year than I have been doing to date, but purely with work being very busy and challenging, which is an enjoyment in itself, it has minimized the amount of time I've been working on my affiliates. So therefore I've kind of been trying to prioritize doing the posts, albeit on the first affiliate site I actually prioritize the user experience, the UX, to speed it up. So from this point on now, I'm in a very comfortable position to really just keep pushing content. So that's it for me. That's me for my two sites in the gardening niche and in the health niche. Again, if you do have any questions, leave them below and I'll come back to you. Likewise, I will be at the affiliate gathering that Carl Broadbent is organising now in May, which I believe is the Friday the 20th in York. I will be up there. If any of you want to meet up and, you know, have a chat, please just, you know, leave a comment, give me a shout, and we'll meet up and we'll talk everything about affiliate marketing. Until then, it's just for me to say, keep enjoying your blog writing, and I'll see you soon.